Germany, Europe's largest economy, is deindustrializing faster than a grad student can throw soup at a Picasso, setting itself up as the first big victim of the green jihad and their Stone Age fetish for making us eat bugs. Fresh data says Germany's industrial production fell for the 7th straight month, bringing it to levels last seen in 2006, that's 18 years ago. Another 5%, and they'll be at 1990s levels when the Berlin Wall fell. As Ms. Shedlock put it, quote, Germany's industrial superpower days are over. Of course, while Germany's largest industrial economy in Europe, the problem is Europe-wide, given the influence environmental activists have in Brussels, extending way beyond throwing soup at Picassos all the way to deindustrializing the continent and handing their economic destiny to a third world who China and Russia are busy recruiting into their anti-Western BRICS bloc. As Bloomberg put it, quote, Germany's industrial machine have fallen like dominoes, with the final blow, quote, the end of cheap Russian natural gas. Hope the Ukraine meat grinder was worth it. So first the numbers. Germany's output slumped 1.6% on the previous month. That's an annualized 1/5 drop, almost 20%. Economists had expected 0.3% growth, suggesting that Europe's mainstream economists are as useless as our own. The biggest drops were energy and tech-intensive sectors, where the Greens have replaced cheap fossil fuels with trillion-dollar gimmicks, paving the continent with dodgy solar and bird-chopping windmills. Construction fell 3.4%, chemicals dropped 7.6% to 1995 levels, energy dropped 15% in 1 month, as Germany's last nuclear reactor, its last lifeline, was mothballed. To give a sense, Bloomberg profiled a Dusseldorf steel plant closing after 124 years, laying off everybody but the guys whose job is to disassemble the machinery and presumably sell it for pennies on the dollar to China. The data would have been worse, but for a rebound in cars, where American and European consumers are digging even deeper into debt to make up for the cars they didn't buy during the supply chain crisis. And also airplanes, where Boeing's clown show has driven orders to their main competitor, Europe's Airbus, with China waiting in the wings. So what's driving it? Easy energy. As Brussels deconstructs Europe's productive economy, so the weather gods stop making grad students glue themselves to highways. In just 3 years, Germany's energy prices have jumped almost 150%, driven both by decommissioning local energy and by the Russia sanctions and green activists who have now shuttered both nuclear and coal, leaving renewable gimmicks to pretend to provide energy. Ironically, even solar panels are cutting staff and closing down, hampered by energy prices. It takes a crap load of energy to make a solar panel. And by cutthroat competition from China, which dumped trillions of subsidies into its own solars, which in turn are wiping out Europe's crony green manufacturers as well as America's. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. What's next is Europe is disassembling its economy and shipping it overseas, with America not far behind. German chemical giant BASF just plowed $10 billion into a state-of-the-art manufacturing complex in China. The West is throwing away energy, is throwing away farming, is throwing away manufacturing, handing it on a silver platter to countries too poor to have climate cult grad students deciding their economic destiny. But what ended? Easy, populist gaining power and actually helping the industries that sustain our prosperity. The global uniparty, of course, likes what's happening just fine and will do everything they can to prevent that. A new episode of the podcast just dropped. Check it out at petersatange.com. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.